I've been digging that tone, dude. I normally don't play a bunch of stuff that kind of heavy, but not heavy, but that much drive, but I've been liking it. YouTube, what is up, you guys? I have been pumped to make this video, dude. I've got to say, welcome all the new subscribers. Huge influx. The videos were doing kind of okay, but I did not expect, like, I think we're at 90,000 views on the What Do You Make in Nashville video. I think like 20 or 30,000 views on my little tour vlog. So you guys, I can't thank you enough. And welcome to all the new subscribers. This is awesome. And I just, I love it. I love doing this. I'm passionate about sharing this stuff with you guys. And it's really cool that it's seeming to connect with some people. So with that being said, I am going to make a video where I just kind of do a Q&A, you know, kind of like the Uncle Larry comment bin thing, you know. That's not this video. I'm going to make another video. So if you're interested in a little bit longer format where I'm going to just pull up comments, read through. I've been trying to answer you guys, but dude, there is so many that it's hard to do, which I'm very grateful for, man. I've got a lot of cool stuff planned for this. But first off, yeah, check out that tone, dude. Like, this is the DGT today, right? And I've got the Nobles on, the Fulldrive on. I've got a long delay, a slapback, a flanger. I mean, that's pretty cool, yeah. Right? That's... Ooh, that sounds good. Y'all see I'm playing still to this PRS HDRX20. All right. My videos are long. Apparently, that's just how I talk. So I'm going to try and get into it a little bit quicker today. But here's what I want to talk about today. How do you get a gig in Nashville? Now, it's not just in Nashville. It's how do you get gigs. This goes for anywhere. But I'm going to talk about this through my perspective, my experiences, my stories in Nashville. And, like, if you come down here and you've watched the other videos, you're thinking about stuff coming down, and you decide to come down, like, what does it look like next? What do you do next? How do you get gigs? How do you start getting the phone to ring? And then how do you keep those gigs when it does start to ring? And the real point of this whole video is networking. I was initially thinking connections, but connections makes it sound like you already have a prior connection. But it is connections, but it's networking. The whole name of the game. And you will live or die career-wise down here, over here, wherever you're from, in Nashville, based on your networking all day long. It's the most important thing, and it is the key to your success. And I mean, man, I would have a really hard time believing that anyone in Nashville would disagree with that. I mean, I think that's absolutely how it goes. So let's talk a little bit about that. What I want to do with this video is talk about the importance of networking, and then I'm going to tell you guys kind of like my story of how I've gotten the gigs that I've gotten, and I can draw a through line through all of them because of the connections I made. And when you first come down here, that is like the most important thing. And when you first get here, I think a lot of your kind of job is to go out and meet people. Man, it's to go hang out at the Writers' Rounds or go down to Broadway or go see a show of some people you like and try and talk to the musicians. You know, that's level one of the guys are on break. You loved what they were playing. Go ask the guitar player, you know, what pedals are you using? Or what was that riff? Or, you know, the key and you're going to live and die is based on making friends and connections. And that's so important, man. It really is. I've gotten everything I have through networking, you know, and I'll explain a little bit about it. So let's start at the beginning for me. I first got down here to Nashville. I moved September of 2016. I'm brand new, and I had gone out some, but I wasn't going out a bunch. And in my video where how much you got paid, that very first gig that I ever got, I talked about, I had a roommate that asked me to come out one night. They were going to go to Broadway or Midtown or something like that around town. And she had asked me, and it was already like 7:30 p.m., and I was kind of in for the night. And I remember I was like, I did not want to go. You know, I was like, oh, I don't want to go, but I really didn't feel like going. And I forced myself to be like, all right, you got to meet people. I think I was a little less outgoing then, honestly, but I forced myself to go out. So we went to a little pregame, met at someone's apartment. I come in, I sit down at a kitchen table. There's 3 people already sitting at it, 1 open chair. Sit down in the open chair. One of them's my roommate. The other 2 people I meet. One of them's a girl, and she was telling me, oh, I was on American Idol or whatnot. Or that just came up in conversation. And at the time, I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, once you've been down here for a little while, you realize everybody and their brother's been on one of those shows, and it doesn't hold the same weight. But when you're brand new to town, that's pretty cool. I remember being like, wow, she was on American Idol, you know, because I was as green as could be. And we went out and just had a great night. She knew I played guitar. We all just hung out, whatever. Then, randomly, 2 months later, I just get a call from that girl. And she's got a little 3-song acoustic set and needs a guitar player. Can you play guitar for that? I said yes, and we're off to the races. So let's look at this. Connection number 1, the very first night, the first thing I got. This girl, her name's Jenna Renee, who's still a great friend, gave me this gig and called me 2 months after. Hadn't talked to her a single time in between there, and I got it on a night that I really didn't want to go out. But I forced myself to go out, say I'm going to, who knows, and that kind of starts this conversation of saying you never know. You never know. And the whole goal long run is you're going to plant a ton of seeds, right? You're just planting seeds everywhere. And almost all of them are just going to die. Almost all of them. But there's going to be a couple that grow, and those are going to be what you're able to utilize and drive moving forward that will give you opportunities, you know? And you never know. You really never know. It's like the thing, you cast a wide net, right? So I got that gig. I played a little 3-song acoustic thing with her that I talked about in my other video. And then one weekend, months later, maybe even a year later after I've been playing some with her, she's going on the road for 3 shows in New York. And it's going to be full band. And she asked me to play acoustic rhythm guitar in the full band. So I show up to rehearsal the first day, super nervous because I haven't played with the band at all. and I meet all the other musicians. There's a keys player, a drummer, an electric guitar player, a bass player, and her. I meet all these guys. I go out. I travel. So already that same connection has given me two things. But the important thing is that one connection has now introduced me to 4 other musicians that are all playing around town, all a little bit older than I was at the time, all doing the thing, you know. So I remember being really intimidated to go to that rehearsal, but the guys were so nice. And after I traveled for the whole weekend with them, I made friends with all of them, you know. So that was the first full band thing I did. So months later, I'm still just playing rounds once in a while. Haven't done any other full band stuff. And I'm jamming one day, literally just jamming with the drummer, whose name was Dave, from that first full band gig. And when we were walking into the rehearsal space just to jam and have fun, I remember saying to him, being like, man, I'd love to get a consistent full band gig. Like, I don't know how or what I'm going to do with that, but all these guys were a little more plugged in. So he was a person that I could kind of be like, I want to do this, even if I don't know how, or maybe you could give me some advice. And I remember him being like, man, you know, don't worry, it'll come, like, it'll happen. And on that same day, I swear, I still don't know this to this day. I need to ask Dave someday. His old roommate, who was the guitar player for that group we were in, sends me a message and says, hey, man, I've got a gig that I can't do this Friday. This was on a Tuesday. Do you think you could fill in for it? And that's that Virginia gig I was talking about in my other video. Go down to Virginia, 2 nights in a row, cover set, 40, 45 songs or so. So now my little network has grown again, and it's grew again because I made good friends with those people. I played with them, and then they knew I could do it. They knew I could travel well, and then when the opportunity did come up, I was on their mind enough that someone called me, you know. And that really goes down to like the whole thread line of just who you meet matters so much down here, and you'll get your gigs based on the connections you grow. And stuff, because if someone calls me for a gig and I can't do it, so I need to recommend a couple guitar players if I can, I'm always going to recommend my friends and people I know or have played with first before I start looking for outside recommendations, you know. And that's just how it goes. Why would you not, right? I want my friends to succeed and work just like I have or anybody else has. So I got that little cover gig just from those couple connections, and I played in that cover band for 3 years. I did a bunch of other stuff. I ended up getting another small artist gig through that same original group of musicians that called me to play guitar on a small artist gig. I did that for a year with an artist named Daniel Johnson. And then it just grew and grew and grew. Then, and I'm just going to fast forward. I'm just kind of telling my story, honestly. But it just goes to show why connections are so important, man. So then after a couple years, maybe 3 years of playing in that cover gig, I decided to leave that gig, and I had no gig at the time. So I left with nothing, and I had a couple months where I was doing nothing. I had to do more programming work. I was trying to make money wherever I could. Times were tough. Times were tough, man. And then I had met, through a separate group of friends, a brand new guy that was getting ready to move to town, and his name was Charles Walker. So Charles, I'd met him, we had gone out to lunch or whatever one time, and when he first got to town, he didn't know anybody. Charles is a really outgoing, great at the networking side of stuff, and that's why he's been successful in town, which I'll talk about his journey. And he just moved to town and, like, out of nowhere called me or texted me, was like, hey man, you want to just hang out and jam? And I didn't know this guy at all, but I had no gigs. I wasn't doing anything. I said, okay, absolutely. So we hung out for a couple weeks, started becoming friends. And one night we were out watching some music, and I remember saying to him, I was like, dude, I'd love to play like downtown on Broadway. I'd never done the consistent Broadway thing. And I was like, I just don't sing, so I can't start the band myself. And he was like, bro, I sing and play acoustic. And what do you know, right? Fast forward 2 months, and Charles is down there booking us gigs 5 days a week, right? I'm playing full time down there for like 9 months, you know. And it's same thing because I made a friend out of a person. There we started a little kind of group together, and he was the leader of the group. And we were all able to work from it, you know. And I didn't go and hang out with Charles because I was like, oh, he's going to get me gigs. I went and hung out and just made a friend, and that materialized into gigs. And that will happen. You'll see over and over again. It really comes down to like making friends with people, getting to know people, being genuine. Because if you're just out, like, people can smell from a mile away down here. Like, if you're just out trying to like use them for gigs, especially once you start getting to people that are successful and are playing for notable people or have done notable things, you know, I think those people more often than not, it's really important to approach with like no expectation, because, you know, some people get caught up of, even if they have good intentions, just end up, you know, wanting coming off too overbearing, and then it's kind of a put off, you know. So it's really like connection first, maybe later stuff will come. Another great example, this is a little side note, but early on in Nashville I went to a writers round. A guy named Gabe Lee was playing the writers round. I thought he was awesome. Sounds just like John Prine, you know, younger John Prine. And I had said something to him after the gig, being like, man, you sound awesome, whatever. So we followed each other on Instagram. Well, 5 years later, he reached out through Instagram one day and was like, hey man, I've been digging your plan and the stuff you post on here. I need a guy for a couple things. You think you could do it? Look at that. That's work that materialized after 5 years, and I'd never seen him since then. So it can even be simple stuff like that. I want to go back to the Broadway thing, though. So I'm playing Broadway, and I'm doing some other things here and there, right? People I'd meet, connections, then would call and be like, can you do this? And sometimes that was auditions, which, by the way, I'm going to make a whole nother video like this talking about auditions and what's an audition like in Nashville. And I've done maybe 10 to 12 of them in my time down here at different levels. And I think you guys will enjoy that video. But anyways, I was rehearsing just for a fun side project one night. Nothing that was going to pay us anything, with two friends. And I get a text out of the blue. And this is going to be really important. This is a good extra tidbit of advice I'm going to talk about right here. I get a text out of the blue at rehearsal from a guy named J.P. Burr. I'd never met him, but a friend had recommended my number to him. He says, hey, I play with this artist named Hayden Kaufman. He needs a lead guitar player and background vocals for 2 dates in March. And this is at whatever time. I had like a month for it. It's like, can you do it? Now, I come to find out later, JP had sent that same text at the same time to like 10 different people. And I happened to be looking at my phone when I got it. And as soon as I saw it, I'd seen Hayden on TikTok before, so I knew who Hayden Kaufman was. And I just instantly replied back, yes, I'm available. Now, the thing is, he said we need a lead guitar player and harmonies. I knew damn well I'd sing a little bit of harmonies on Broadway, and I sucked at them. I knew I couldn't sing very good harmonies, and I was a little hesitant at first to be like, should I say I can do this because I don't do harmonies? And I just fired it back, and I decided I'm going to say yes, and I'll figure it out later, you know? And that's a great moment where I could have been like, yeah, although I don't sing harmonies, and, you know, and maybe he would have gone with someone else. And he didn't. He didn't. He said, okay, you've got it. They looked at my Instagram page, which I'm going to talk some about too, about how it's not like Instagram will just get you gigs, although when I get to the Land Coast story, it is going to be contrary to that. But it will. It's like your Nashville resume. So just having posts on there showing that you play some and that you've played in front of people and that you're in the scene and doing it, right? Like, first I said yes. Then he told me later, he went to my Instagram. Looks at my Instagram, okay, he's playing in front of people. He's played before. It sounds like he can kind of play. He could probably fill in just a sub for this gig. So those two things of being fearless and just saying yes right off the bat and then figure it out later. You know, obviously, if you asked me to come play piano on the gig, like, I can't play piano. So then I would have said no. But the background vocals was just enough where I was like, I'll figure it out. And we ended up, they just put the background vocals in the tracks. And none of the guys cared, you know? And I got that gig because I just went for it. I practiced really hard. I prepped the music. I showed up. I did a pretty good job. I showed up prepared with my stuff in order, my gear working. And then through that, I made a bunch of connections to a whole new pool of players. It's like each time you get with a different group of players, your pool is upping, you know? And that pool is eventually going to slowly start bringing you work. And that's how you get gigs, you know? And it's just, I keep saying it, but this is the point of this video. It really comes down to like networking, connecting, and making friends, man. Not just doing it in the hopes that this guy's going to give me a gig. Yeah, if you meet someone really big that is doing a lot of cool stuff, that's going to be in the back of your mind. But I really encourage you not to approach it like that. Be humble, treat the people like people. Most of the time, people are going to be that way back to you. Down here, most everybody's nice. Of course you're going to run into an asshole. Everybody does, right? You know, but most people are pretty nice and wanting to help, you know. It's that old saying, like a rising tide raises all boats, something like that. You know, everybody benefits. It's not as elitist sometimes as you'd think, at least in my experience. So I'm playing with Hayden. With Hayden, I finally start playing a little bit bigger artist shows, you know. And Hayden was really big on TikTok. When I joined him, he had more than 100,000 subscribers on TikTok. And I think kind of seeing that, I'd always like posting stuff, but kind of seeing that, I thought I want to post on TikTok. And I started slowly posting on TikTok. And my goal was I wanted to get to 1,000 subscribers so I could go live, because I love going live. If any of y'all have been in my YouTube lives yet. And I did that for a little while, and slowly gained more subscribers. Not a crazy amount, but I had one video that was like, the intro was, so you want to be a guitar player in Nashville. Like my other videos on here. And I was just talking about it, and that got like 30,000 views on TikTok, which was huge for me at the time, right? So I'm doing TikTok. I'm passionate about it. I'm not making any money. I'm getting some students from it, but then I'm playing with Hayden Kaufman. I'm really enjoying it. There, I'm making money. It's a great gig. And out of the blue, one day on Instagram, I get a DM from Lanco's band page, and it reads something like, "Hey man, this is Brandon Lancaster. I sing in Lanco. We've been following your stuff for a couple months. We might have a potential for a guitar opening. Is this something you'd be interested in pursuing?" And that was crazy. And I didn't have a direct connection to Lanco then, but all the prep I had done for all the years before, making good connections, building the socials, not in the sense that I had a lot of followers, but they could go on my page and see Tim's played in front of a big crowd. This is what Tim looks like on stage. Here's what a solo sounds like with Tim. Even if that video has 50 views, you know, it doesn't matter if they're looking at it more like a resume. And that resume got me the call, and him seeing that video on TikTok of saying, so you want to be a guitar player in Nashville, got me the call. Now, in that video on TikTok, I don't even play guitar. I only talk. It's 3.5 minutes of me just talking, just like I do to you guys here. And I got that initial call in the vibe because he enjoyed my vibe, my presence, what we would call down here the hang. And watering your connections like goes hand in hand with being a good hang, good person. You know, it's all the basic stuff, honestly. You'd think it's basic till you get around some people where it's not basic for them. But man, I got that call, and then obviously it was a moving audition. I went and met all the guys, and I'll go into this whole story in detail, but I don't want to make this video too crazy long. So I'll tell the Lanco story all together separately. But I got that call. You know, I did the audition, which is very different than a normal Nashville audition. It was just a hang. And then my real audition was kind of doing one gig on the road, and then it just progressed from there. Now, all that to say, that TikTok content and making TikToks and being passionate about that led me to more students. And now it has led me here to you. For 1.5 years, I was making a lot of TikTok content. Now I'll still do some TikTok content, but we are all in on YouTube, you guys. And I know it's kind of me rambling, but you guys seem to enjoy that. So that's a little bit of my experience, what connections can do for you and how important networking is. in just meeting people if you come down here or anywhere and you want to play gigs. You know, if you're in any town and you want to find gigs, go find local music that you enjoy and try and talk to one of the band people afterwards or when they're on break. Just say what's up, introduce yourself, you know. Can't hit the ball if you don't swing the bat, you know. So man, it's all of that now has like accumulated into the job I have today. I'm teaching a lot of students, which I will plug if you've made it to the end of this video here. I do teach online lessons, and you can DM me on Instagram if you're interested in that. I've had a bunch of interest from you guys, which is really exciting. But that kind of leaves me off on saying the YouTube thing, man. I am really excited about it. You guys don't know how excited I am about it. My friends are already sick of hearing about it, but we're over 5K subscribers, and y'all are blowing up a video of me talking for 30 minutes. I don't know what wave we've caught, but I really hope to give you guys, like, I think the mantra for the channel going forward is no BS. It's just a straight look into this is what I do. I'm in a successful band, but I'm not rich and famous. You know, what does a normal cat down here do, right? This is what I do. So you guys, I'm so excited about this. Hey, I hope you enjoy that video. Me talking. I think nobody's going to enjoy them, and you guys keep watching them. So I love it. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. I'm saying the bell thing now. Hit the bell. And if you're interested in lessons, shoot me a DM on Instagram or anywhere else you find my socials, or leave a comment down here, and I'll figure out a way to get in touch with you. But you guys, I got some cool videos coming up. I got a lot of great stuff planned for this channel, and I'm just going to start taking y'all along for the ride. So, yeah, you know what? I thank you guys for joining me on this journey. We're going to blow this thing up, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you liked this freaking... I mean, man, that's a... All right, and with that, until next time, you guys. Peace.